Today we're going to talk about a workflow to create a auto-reply. Okay, in this case Gmail, but works for the majority of the emails platforms like Outlook, whatever. And we're going to use, for example, generative AI, in this case the LLM that we're using, basically the GPT-4o, to help us write a email so that you can respond in a better way, for example, to gain your client when that client basically submit a forms in your website. Okay, so basically let's go ahead and understand the architecture. I'm going to do a demo as well, and then basically later I'm going to talk about each one of the components and then do a deep dive into it. Okay, let's understand a bit now this architecture right here. And then first of all, we're going to have like a forms here, right? Where basically that is mimicking what you're going to have like the forms in our website. And then given the user respond to that, basically we're going to set some variables here. Let's go ahead and like set some variables, and then we're going to use, for example, the LLM to help us create a custom response. And then we're going to have a human verification phase where basically we can accept or not in the Gmail that I'm going to show later. And then finally, if we accept, basically send over the email as well as update Google Sheets so that we can have track of the history, for example. Now let's go ahead and understand the workflow. And the best way, for example, is to do a demo here. So let's go ahead and test the workflow. And then right here, I have to put, for example, my email and then my name. Let's call me Bruno, for example. And then my idea is like, I want to automate my marketing campaign, for example, my marketing campaign, and submit. Basically what's going to happen, let's close here, the email writer is going to work, and then basically we're going to have like the verifier here. This is basically two filters that already have configured so that we can have in a more clear way like what we want. So basically here we have the approval required, and then let's reload here. The goal is that we have another one here, which is exactly that. So yeah, it arrived right now. And then basically is bringing like, okay, can you approve the response below? And then is saying hi, Bruno, which is our name, and then doing like a response here, and then ending, for example, with would you, for example, be available for a quick call or something like that, and then best my name here. And then we can approve or basically close so that this is going to have a timeout, and that's fine for it now. Or we can approve, let's approve, and then basically going on, we're going to, once approved, okay, now it worked. And then basically that is going to send another email for the person, in this case me, saying, for example, okay, hey, hi Bruno, and then basically all the response we already saw. And then that's going to update, for example, Google Sheets as well, which is this Google Sheet here with some information, key information, for example, the timestamp from the response, and then the email, the person's mail, and then the idea here, automate my marketing campaign, and then the name, and finally the response. So that with this list, for example, in Google Sheets or table, whatever you choose, basically you can have like this history as well, which is truly important. Last piece, most important, let's do a deep dive into all the components here. So basically we have, first of all, the trigger, which is going to be the form. And then the form is a very simple one, which basically just contains, for example, the email address, and then the name here, and then finally the idea as well. All of them, the majority in text. And then once we execute that, let's execute that. Let's first of all remove this execution cache. Let's try again. So let's do that. So my email again. Let's try another name, and then some idea, like idea help me with my post writing. Automation, for example. Let's submit that. Okay. Okay, we basically execute that, and then with this form, we're going to set up a set variable here, so that basically we're going to have each component here. This is very manual, but you can definitely automate with some code blocks as well. But you have like the email address, the name, idea, and finally the submitted at, which in this case is a string corresponding to the timestamps, for example, the timestamp, for example. Perfect. Now the key of the project, which is the email writer, and let's just understand very briefly what is currently doing, right? So basically at the beginning we have, like, first of all, a tools agent, so that we can use, in this case, the LLM, which is if I'm not mistaken, GPT-4o. Oh, in this case it's mini, but that's fine. Like, you can totally change here or change for a Claude or Gemini models. Let's return to the agent here, and then you have the prompt. Okay, the prompt, in my perspective, is like a simple way of just saying, okay, you have the idea name, but let's first understand this system message. Okay, in a very simple way, you have, first of all, the role, going over some of the prompt engineering techniques. So you have the role, so basically you are myself, and then your personal email assistant. You're going to do something, so craft a personalized response to project development inquiries that sounds like me, who basically, like myself, is writing in a what tone, warm, professional, and engaging way. Cool. And then you have like the tasks, okay, a bunch of different tasks. So first of all, create a personalized response addressing the client name, for example, show genuine enthusiasm, for example, and then basically all those tasks until sign off as myself. We have style guidelines as well, so basically what tone you want the writer to be, for example, like in a confident way, approachable tone that builds immediate rapport and other things. And then you have one example in this case, but we can have like multiple examples as well. Bringing the input, so basically the name, the idea here, and then the output, so a formal output, for example. So in what way I wanted the output to be. So basically that's the way I wrote this prompt. And then finally we have the prompt, which is the user message, showing up exactly what I said in the system message, right? So basically the idea, help me write my post writing, like some automation, help me with my post writing automation, sorry, and then the name of the person to be custom. So perfect, we have that for the email writer, and then you have the human verification here. So that's extremely simple, just going to send for myself every time, like just putting my email, but that's fine. Like you can totally put, this is going to be like your personal email, this one in the left is going to be the client, the client's ones. So that's basically it, like the way you configure. So the message, send, and await the response, and then you must request, for example, the approval required, and then what's the content, right? For example here, so I want the content to be, for example, approve the following response, and then the response from the agent here, which is basically what we see in the left side here. And then finally the last piece is basically, okay, once myself I did approve, I can send over the Gmail basically, and then for whom I'm going to send is from the set variables here, and the set variables are basically, let's accept that so that we can better see that, but the email is going to be from myself, right? And then so you have the set variable right here, this one right here, and then you have the email address, this one. So basically this is exactly what we're seeing here with my email, and then finally with the text, this text below. And that's it. And then this is like the output from sending the email, and then finally we update the Google Sheets here. So updating the Google Sheets is pretty simple. Google Sheets account as a credential, sheet with document. We're going to append in this case. We're not going to update. The update just happens when you have like a match in the timestamps. So for example, if I get like hour and minute, if I send another one right now, it's going to update. Otherwise, it's just going to append a new row. So what's going to append? Basically the timestamp, the email address, the idea, name, and finally the response from the agent. So yeah, that's it, the workflow from today. Thanks for watching.